did you want to just do a little intro here and then
Oh,
I'll
there he
get
is.
this? Oh, awesome. Okay, he did get on. Great.
He's logged in as me now.
Oh, okay. Is
All
that going to
good.
work for you guys?
I'm sure it will. We'll make it
It'll
work.
be fine.
Okay,
I'll see if I can change my name, but it's always fun to be Jim if I can.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just say, Trace, thanks to the guys from Zocks for hopping on here and doing this demo for the group. I know for those of you that were at the conference in Hershey, we were really excited about this type of software getting approved at Cambridge, and we encourage people to take a look at it and think it can really help make their practice more efficient and save some time on the back end and front end of client meetings. So, yeah, I know we're already at 104, so I'll let you guys take it away from here.
Fantastic. Mark, are you able to? I think Tracy set us up to share. So,
yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, Sebastian and Tracy, thanks for setting this up and giving us the opportunity. And we'll jump right in as we're getting a little bit of a slow start. So just by way of background, so I'm Jim, EVP of product here at Zocks. Been at Zocks about a year and a half, came on as one of the early stage employees to really help focus on financial services. My background, I was an advisor for 3 years early in my career and then transitioned into technology product management and have worked at a number of different financial planning companies, financial planning software companies, and a couple other startups along the way. And really excited to be able to meet with you all and talk about Zocks today. And I'll let Mark introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks everyone for the time as well. I'm Mark Gilbert. I'm one of the co-founders of Zocks, so really excited to show you the product and I think we'll have Jim do a few slides, and then we'll just hop in and show you what it looks like, because we always find that a little more exciting for everyone.
Fantastic. And we do want to make this collaborative, so you can either use the chat function or just speak up if you have a question as we go. This is really intended for you all to get the most out of it. We will provide an overview of kind of the functionality, so if you don't see something answered, we can certainly leave some time for Q&A at the end. So a little background on Zocks. So we are a privacy-first client intelligence platform, and we're built specifically for financial advisors. And we have a number of capabilities really around kind of pre-meeting, getting ready to meet with your clients, and how we leverage data and can pull that information out of, say, a CRM system, all the way through the process of taking notes during meetings, whether that's virtual or in-person conversation. And then there's a lot that we provide for post-meeting follow-up. And the overall solution is really geared towards trying to cut down on the time that it takes to either get prepared for a meeting or follow up from a meeting. In our conversations and just kind of looking at statistics that we see in the market, that for every hour that you're spending kind of face-to-face, whether that's virtual or in person with a client, there's probably around 45 minutes or maybe in some cases an hour of manual work getting prepared for those meetings, and then work post after that. So our whole goal with the platform at this point is to get that down to around 4 or 5 minutes, so significantly reducing the time and effort it takes. So from a pre-meeting standpoint, you'll see today we're going to show you kind of live. I'll play the client and Mark will play the advisor, and he'll get prepared to meet with me by going into the CRM and pulling information into a pre-meeting agenda and even generating an email to send out to get me prepared for meeting. When it comes to conversations, we'll show also today like how you can have just fully engaging conversations with your clients and letting Zocks take notes in the background. And we're particularly built for this use case. So our only customers at this point are in the wealth management, kind of financial planning, insurance, and tax space. So we're geared for pulling the relevant content out of conversations automatically. We know that you need to create or update a client record and then pull out the facts, figures, things that you need from a financial planning or wealth management standpoint. but also the personal information about the family to build great rapport and just build a better interaction with the client over time. And then things like action items, actions, client concerns, all of those types of details we'll be able to capture and help you sync that to CRM for good record keeping. So we're going to dive in a little bit more here. So by way of background, when we talk about capturing information from conversations, we're really talking two different types of experiences. So for virtual meetings, so whether you're using Zoom or Teams or Google Meets, Zocks can attend as a participant in those conversations and automatically take notes. We also have an app that you can run on an iPhone or Android device or even like an iPad, and you can use that for face-to-face conversations. And you can also use that on a laptop if you want to bring that into like a conference room or you have a client that's coming into your office. It's very easy to capture those face-to-face conversations as well. We have a number of users that will also use those apps for a dictation option. So if you've been around the industry for a while and you maybe have experience using CopyTalk or Mobile Assistant, just know that Zocks can also be used in a dictation mode to capture those notes. Really important aspect for what differentiates Zocks in the marketplace is that we don't record. And that was a really key benefit in what Cambridge saw when they vetted us and approved us, is that we're not recording those conversations. So there is no audio or video archival there. What you end up with is an underlying transcript and the notes pulled out of the conversation. So we tend to see that clients prefer not to be recorded. And certainly it's from a compliance standpoint, not having a recording is a huge benefit. So that's a little bit of background and baseline. Let's pause there. Is there any questions on just what is Zocks and kind of how you can capture information? We have other slides that we can talk about from a compliance and data security standpoint. But before we jump into the demo, was there any questions on what I covered so far? Fantastic.
Oh,
okay.
It looks like Jack may have a question.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
Zach.
does what about phone calls? Would you be able does it work for phone calls as well?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Jack. So for today, for phone calls, what we see advisors do is use two different devices. So if you got a phone call, you can open the app on your phone, and then you can take, if you have a desktop phone, two different speakers. What we need is two different microphones. But that's only for the next couple of weeks. We'll actually have an integrated phone app in mid to late October. So just like you can with a Zoom call or a face-to-face, you'll be able to use Zocks on a phone call, but that'll come in about a month from now.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions before we hop into the demo?
So I got a question. So if you're on your cell phone, can you be on your cell phone and use Zocks with your cell phone through an app?
So you will in October, but today if you were talking on your cell phone, then you would run Zocks like say on your laptop in parallel. So again, you would need two different microphones today, but in a couple weeks you can use it as an integrated app.
Great. Any other questions before we hop in? All right. Well, if anything comes up, as Jim mentioned at the start, feel free to just ask in the middle. We'll take some pauses as well. We know this is a lot for a lot of people, just as the technology is moving fairly quickly and a lot of these things are very new. So what I'm going to do is walk you through, as Jim mentioned, pre-meeting prep, like how we would get ready for a meeting using Zocks and how it can help with that. Then I'll show you the results from a meeting and how in a few minutes you can take the results from your client meetings and get a note into CRM, get a follow-up email out to the client, and make sure all the follow-up tasks are in the CRM system and assigned to the right people as well. And then what we'll do is Jim and I will do more of a live one discussion and just show you how it works. And then you can see like our discussions, what it's capturing, all of that information as well. So here I'm in Zocks, and this is the meeting hub on the left. So all of my upcoming and previous meetings will show up here. And I'll just scroll down. You can see that I have a meeting coming up with John and Michelle Smith. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to ask Jim to play John Smith. And if I get his name wrong, I apologize. And he probably will too. So I click on the meeting prep button. And what this is going to do is a few things. It's going to go into the CRM system and pull out the information that's relevant. So things like, what are the current tasks with this client? What was our last discussion about? And anything that we basically said that we should be talking about next time we get together. And we'll also use the conversations that they've had using Zocks. And so we'll take both of those data sets and pull them together. If there is information in the CRM system, like if you have email under the household of the client, that will also get looked at, and a variety of other things. And so from this, we will say, here's a proposed agenda to have with the client based on what you said. We'll even generate a pre-meeting email. We never send email on your behalf, but what we want to do is make it very easy for you to send. And that's for compliance reasons and a variety of other reasons. So you can just click this email and it'll basically create this simple mail for you in Outlook, and you can edit it and hit send. We'll give you the client summary, and you know your clients well, I'm quite sure, but it's always helpful to just kind of get refreshed on like what are some key data points about them personally and kind of recent discussions. So in this one, it gives me a little bit at the top of like they're married, they have 2 children, their age, John owns a construction company earning approximately 200K, Michelle's a realtor, and all of these things. And the idea is this is something you should be able to scan in, let's say, 30 seconds and just kind of refresh yourself. Then we'll also list all the outstanding tasks that are sitting in the CRM system as well, just so you can remember what are we working on, what are we doing. And then in addition to this, we have this AI assistant that will help you answer anything else you need. So you can see here, it says they inherited 100,000 from John's father. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about was life insurance and estate planning documents. So I may go in here and say, who is their estate attorney? And this will go through both conversations and the CRM system, looking for the answer to that question. And so whether it's in a specific field in CRM, whether it's in an email that they sent, or whether you discussed it, it'll show up here. In this case, this is coming from the CRM system. So I can also ask things like, what sport does their son play? Knowing that he's big sports person, but I forget if it's soccer or baseball, and it'll essentially also go through and do all of these things as well and get an answer to that. So it says their son plays baseball. So the idea here is that you can, again, very quickly think through things. If you have specifics where you're like, oh, I forgot this, but I want to remember it, that's super easy. You can even do things like update the agenda or have it rewrite the pre-meeting email here. So you can say like, rewrite the email in a casual tone type thing, and it'll actually rewrite this for you. And again, the idea here is just to accelerate you as much as possible and make it easy. So here you can see the pre-meeting email went from like not formal, but to a more casual, like, hey, John and Michelle, hope you're doing well. Just a quick reminder, ... So it'll start to mimic and follow your behavior patterns as well. Again, just with the goal of trying to help you out as much as possible. So that is meeting preparation. And then once I've had a meeting and come out of it, all my past meetings will show up in the past meetings, whether they're done on Zoom, on Teams, in person, any of these. And so I can go in and look and say, let's go look for a meeting, and I'll pull one up here with the same family, so John and Michelle. And all of the data that we're showing here, and we'll show you how this works kind of live when Jim and I do this, all of this data is captured from the meeting. And so at the top, it'll give you an update based on whatever the meeting title was. It will show you how much you're speaking. So you can see here, I speak too much or a lot, I'll just say. And I'm clearly not letting Michelle speak much, or John isn't, because she's not getting to talk a lot. And all of the roles of the different people will be here. So if you do have other professionals, like either other advisors, associates, they will show up under advisors. If you have an estate plan or a tax person, they will show up with their labels as well. We will create a financial summary for you. This is just essentially a template that we use now that has an overview and client details and then the key topics. If you have a specific template that you use, you can put that in the system, or we'll do it with you, and it'll start to format in that way so that all of your notes are coming out in a consistent way. So as an example, often people will say that they have a specific agenda for an annual or quarterly review. That agenda may be like, we're going to start with a personal update, then we're going to check in on, the portfolio, then we're going to talk about any changes that need to be made. And those things can go in, and essentially all of the data will structure in that format as well for you. And you can see with this, I can very quickly edit it. If it's missed something, if there's something in there that you just don't really need in the CRM system, you can go through and edit, replace, delete, whatever you want. And then you can essentially just push it to Wealthbox by typing in the name of the client, and then you can pick the household or the contact that they're on and hit save, and it'll push through. The follow-ups work the same way. So here we've said that John has 2 things he needs to do. I have a few things. I can click save to CRM. And similarly here, I can choose the items I want to send in. So I may not put them all in CRM. I can choose the due date for them. I can set a priority. And then if there's different people in the office that need to do different things. So as an example, let's say Kyle handles scheduling, and this is a scheduling piece. This next one is more of a plan preparation. And let's say Stephanie is my paraplanner. I can assign it to them. I can even assign categories if I use those as well. And then just hit save, assign it to the contact, and it'll push through. And each of those will create in Wealthbox as well. In addition to that, as we mentioned, we'll create a follow-up email for you. This is set up currently with a template that's fairly simple. It just says, what does a client need to do? What do we need to do? And then were there any kind of key discussions that we wanted to capture and record? Some people want to have a paragraph or 2 outlining the discussion at the top and then the action items. That's all fine and easy to do and configurable. Some people just want the action items, and it will mimic what sections you have in your follow-up emails. It will mimic how formal you are, and then also kind of how essentially verbose or terse you typically are when writing emails. And I'll also say we have this concept of meeting templates. So this follow-up email and these notes are going to be specific for a meeting type. And so as an example, the email that you would send someone probably after an introductory meeting or a discovery meeting is going to be different from a quarterly or annually review. And you just change the meeting type, and we'll essentially generate it for that type. Typically, with discovery, we see a lot of questions, more of a fact finder, and the output will look that way. Whereas, a quarterly or annual check-in, you're kind of going through more of a set of topics that you typically do. And again, sending these emails is really easy. You just click send. It'll pop it up in Outlook if you use Outlook, Gmail if you use Gmail. You edit anything you want. When you send this is coming from your email account. So all of your supervision and archiving is automatically working. Any connections you have with the CRM system for your email will automatically work as well. And then you just hit send. And the idea again with this is that you can come in and out of the system in a few minutes. As you can see, get your notes in, get your follow-ups and action items in and assigned, and then get a note out to the client if you want to. And so we'll also do things like grab the future meetings. In this one, they talked about getting together in a couple months for a condo sale. I can actually click on that and just book the meeting directly if you want. I have this hooked into Google Calendar. It'll put all the people on, give it a title. I can change that, whatever you want to do. The same works with Outlook. And then in addition to that, and I won't go through this in too much detail, but happy to answer questions. There's a lot of what we call structured data that we'll also pull out of the conversation for you. So we'll give you all the financial facts in a table. We'll categorize those. So we'll say, hey, here are the information that they have on cash flow. Here's the information they have on investments, on insurance, and all of these things. You can push that to CRM. You can copy that. You can do whatever you want with it. Client talking points will also capture the client's goals or any concerns that they have. So if they're coming in worried about market volatility or worried about maybe saving for a specific event, those will show up here as well. And then on the personal side, we'll capture the family tree. So if they start to mention that they, let's say in one meeting, have 2 kids with their names, we'll capture those. In this case, they mentioned they had a son, Luke, and a daughter, Rebecca. So we know that. And if the next meeting they start to talk about, let's say a brother named Ben who lives in Phoenix. That will also start to show up in the family tree from each of these meetings. So over time, we're building a profile to help you with the client, to help you understand them. We push that to the CRM system and also allow you to ask questions and look at it really easily in Zocks. Same with life events and what conversations you're talking about. So that's just a quick walkthrough of the types of information. And for people, this is typically, I would say, where people start, and we use that with them for a month or two. And then once they become more and more comfortable with it, we also will do things like add meeting types and customize it more and more for them. So as an example, we can go through and do things like say, this was more of a tax meeting, and it'll actually start to pull out all the data from a tax point of view for you and a variety of those things. But that's typically where people get kind of once they're a little farther along. We also have a number of capabilities for collaboration. So if you have, like assistants, pair planners, associates, they can come in and see meetings. They can get specific views to meetings, and you can filter on different people in your team to see what's going on and set sharing and things like that as well. And some of the advantage to that is that you can frankly walk out of a meeting often and have some of the staff immediately start to take action, or at least prepare that action for you, and go from there. And so that they can do that, confirm with you, and then go, versus having to kind of wait till the end of the day or waiting till you have a big break in meetings to like dump all the information in. So that was a lot that we just went through. Let me pause there. I'll shift to a live demo with John, I'll say right after this. But any questions on any of that before we go on?
Okay, so you mentioned that this is not an actual recording of meetings.
Yes.
So what kind of disclosure do we have to give to the client when using this?
So legally, because we're not recording, you don't have a two-party state disclosure requirement. What we would recommend is to tell them, because clients, obviously trust you a lot, and that's a key part of your relationship. And so the language that we would recommend is like, if you were my client, I would sit with you or virtually get on and just say, we have a system that helps me take notes. There's no audio or video recording of you. I fully control the data. So if we say something that we don't want in the CRM system or the notes, we won't put it there. And I can delete anything I want out of there. And are you okay with that? And then if they are, and frankly, from what we've seen, everyone is with that, then you just keep going. If for any reason you do come out of a meeting that you just don't really want a record of, frankly, like maybe it just totally goes off topic, isn't financial, becomes more of a therapy session than a planning session, you can always just go in and actually hit delete, and it'll just destroy and purge that meeting. We have no record of it at that point. So the privacy is very much set up from kind of the client's point of view and your point of view as well.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? All right, well, why don't we show you how it works really quickly? So what I'll do here is I'm going to run an in-person meeting, even though Jim's virtual, but as long as it can hear it, as he mentioned, it'll work. And then we'll do a quick one, just show you how it works. And we'll do it kind of role playing as another meeting, a check-in with John and Michelle Smith, which are the two people that meeting you were just looking at. And we'll go from there. And what'll happen here when it starts is you'll see a flat line and it'll start counting. And then when it hears our voices, it starts to bounce. And that's just a sign that it's hearing and understanding what's going on. After that, it'll take a few minutes to process. So we'll show you a few other things, and then we'll show you the results from that. But let's get going. Are you ready, John Smith?
I am ready.
Awesome. Great. Well, John, it's fantastic to see you today. We really appreciate the time. I know you're in a rush, but I just wanted to check in on a few things from what we talked about last. One is, we've been trying to get your estate plan kind of in a better place. Did you have a chance to meet with Jane Smith, the estate attorney?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I did. We were able to, Michelle and I were able to meet, and we set up our revocable trusts and some other documents. So yeah, feeling good about that. Still working on getting the hard copies. And we also talked about getting a fireproof box and just some other things we wanted to set up to ensure that those are protected, and then also just be able to communicate with our kids on where all that important information is being stored and access to accounts and things of that nature. So definitely got the first round of documents done, but still just working through other details there.
Awesome. Well, that's great progress. One thing I wanted to check in on as we're getting closer to the end of the year, with your construction business, how is it looking, and what do you estimate your income is going to be this year, just as we're looking at other, areas of income and frankly just trying to optimize taxes?
Yeah, I think last time we talked, we planned for 200 last year. I'm looking at more like probably around 240 this year. Just growing well, thankfully with the recent drop, in interest rates, hoping that spurs some of the new construction that we'll hope to see in the coming year. But yeah, that's been good. And then Michelle's looking, her business continues to grow, and I think she'll see probably a 25,000 increase is what she'll end up paying for this year. We might have some additional expenses. We might figure out how to just some other capital expenditures this year, but I think that'd be a safe thing to plan for.
Okay, that sounds great. So we'll organize for that. And then I know you have to hop, but before the end of the year, we would definitely like to get together to do everything we need to, just from a tax point of view, to prepare and move things around and probably do a bit of harvesting.
Okay.
Do you have time on December 2nd by chance? That works very well for us in the morning for the next meeting.
Yeah. I'm looking at my calendar. How about 8:30 a.m.? Is that okay?
Yep, that's great. If you two can come into the office, why don't we do December 2nd at 8:30, and we will send out an invite for that shortly. And
Okay.
really appreciate the time.
All right. Thanks. Good
Thanks,
catching
John.
up.
And so that is just an example of a quick meeting. Obviously, there's not a lot of information there as we were talking quite quickly. This now is telling me that it's essentially done capturing the information out of that and it's starting to analyze. So we'll see up here. It looks like we talked for about 2 minutes, and we'll click in there in a minute and just take a look at what that looks like. While we do that, what I was going to do, Jim, is maybe have you talk a little bit through just kind of like the overall value that we're seeing advisors see when using Zocks, just from kind of a client focus point of view.
Yeah, fantastic. So at this point, we've got nearly 600 we call firms, but that can be everything from small offices to large offices and groups such as yourself. So some of the benefits that we're seeing kind of across the board is that this first bullet is capture more and better information. So one of the things that we're seeing is that because these templates are kind of uniform, so what we're seeing is that people are getting better notes across their conversations, and we'll show here with how it's integrating into CRM, that they're just capturing more information and better information and more robust notes, which then just helps with the circle of pre-meeting prep and just providing a higher level of service to the client. So big benefit there is just more and better information. You'll see here when we go to look at the notes, just having a consistent format for your notes. So if you don't have a format that you follow today, and it just tends to be yellow pad, and some meetings you take good notes and some meetings you don't get as good notes, or you get backed up with surge meetings and you just can't get to your notes. I think what you'll see over time is that you're going to have more and more consistency in your notes and be able to take action. Certainly cutting down on the time pre-meeting prep Mark showed there, and then just post-meeting processing. So when we take a look at the meeting we just did, you'll see some tasks and you'll see a generated email to be able to follow up. So Mark can follow up with John quickly. And then as time permits here, we can show with WealthBox on some of the automated workflows. And I just wanted to note too about that. So Mark showed WealthBox, or talked about WealthBox. We also support Redtail and a number of the Salesforce options and overlays there as well. So those are some of the major benefits that we see with Zocks and saving time.
Then just very quickly, this is an important part for us. We mentioned at the start, like security and privacy are frankly critical for us. The entire platform has been built around that concept. So, you know, everything from like how we store data, how we transmit data is, we have something called a SOC 2 Type 2, which means that we have not only a ton of policies in place as well as auditing and things like that for anyone accessing data, but we actually have an external auditor that comes in every year and supervises that. And then as you can see just from some of the things we were showing, like we give you full control of the data, so you can delete what you want to delete. You can you know, like essentially hold, and we have what are called data retention policies. So you can do all of these things essentially, and fully control what you want there. And that's a big piece for us as well. We never train on data, so you'll hear this with AI. There's a concern around training. So anything you say is yours. It's never stored from a training point of view to like get the algorithms to be better or anything else. And then, as you'd imagine, everything is stored in the US, which is critical for your customers as well. So with that, why don't I hop back and show you what our results look like. So let me reload Zocks here quick. And you'll see a few things. So this is the meeting that we just did. You can see now that it says 2 participants. It used to say 1 because as it analyzed it, it realized there were 2 people in the meeting. And what, so I'll just give this a quick title, which was John Smith State and Income Check-in, I guess I'll call it. That'll get a name. You can see the people are up here. I actually managed to speak less than half the time, which is a big win for me. From a financial summary, you can see all of this, again, this is a quick conversation, so it's filling in, but we have all of the income and assets that are there, you know, where certain things weren't discussed, they won't show. The key topics very quickly were just estate planning, income review, and tax planning. And then just a conclusion for booking the next meeting. We'll generate a follow-up email. Dear John, thanks for your time. You can see there's not a lot of action items there, which makes sense. We'll capture the future meeting, which is on December 2nd, which you can schedule. And then we'll also pull all of the financial facts. So there's not a lot here, but you can see that there's a meeting scheduled for tax planning, which shows up in our tax planning, a little bit around estate planning, cash flow. It says John's estimated income is to be around 240,000 this year, an increase from the plan 200,000 last year. Michelle's business income is set to increase by 25,000, and then the only real family member he mentioned was his wife, Michelle. And so that it just gives you an idea of how quick that can be. One other thing we can do here is actually look in the CRM, you know, assign a contact through and look at any data that needs to get updated. And so you can see right away, as it looks at John's, it looks like in the CRM system, we had 210,000 as his estimated annual income. He mentioned it's going up. And so any of these fields that change from these discussions as well, we'll detect those changes, and you can essentially just click update CRM and it will push through to that, as well as detecting workflows if you're using workflows in CRM. I don't know if there are going to be any workflows here. Oh, he had one open already, sorry, on opening a 529 account. So you can also move workflows forward directly from here as well. So with that, I know that's a lot of demo. Any questions at all on any aspects of this? If it seems overwhelming, I'll just say, like, generally when we start off, we start it very simple with just what are the notes from the meeting, getting those into CRM, what are the follow-ups, and what are the emails. And then over time, we kind of build and build so we get more of a profile for you, make it very easy to query anything you want from your clients. And shortly, we'll also be able to query across, frankly, your whole book, right? So you'll be able to say things like, tell me everyone who may be affected by the upcoming solo 401k deadline, or tell me everyone who has children and grandchildren with no 529 plan. And we'll actually just list them out because we'll be able to essentially analyze across all the information for you. Any other questions on that at all?
Sorry, good presentation. Great tool. Did you mention which CRMs you integrate with? I'm sorry if I missed that, but could you go over that, and if there are any plans outside of the ones you currently have to expand upon that?
Yeah, I think we have a slide on that, Mark, if you want to hop back
even
over
better.
to
It's like you're
hey,
yeah.
that's the one right there. So Sebastian, thanks for that. So we demonstrated Wealthbox here. We mentioned Redtail, so equivalent functionality there. We also integrate with Salesforce, Financial Services Cloud, and we also integrate with the overlays, so Practify, Accelerate, and Salentica. And then some of the ones that we're looking at for the end of the year is Microsoft Dynamics. We don't have definitive plans yet, but we are talking with Advizon, and we're talking to Advisor Engine as well. So we were just, both Mark and I were at Future Proof earlier this week, and so connected with both Advizon and Advisor Engine on getting connected and getting on their kind of integration roadmap. So today it's Wealthbox, Redtail, and Salesforce. While we're on the slide here, the virtual meeting platforms, we support Zoom, Teams, and Google Meets. As we mentioned, we have apps that run on iOS and Android for those face-to-face conversations. And as I mentioned, mid-October, mid to late October, we'll have integrated phone apps where you can do it with phone calls as well. With email and calendar, we support Outlook and Google. And then we talked about CRM, and then Mark talked about just the ability to personalize the meeting templates, the meeting notes, and the emails. So just so you know, it's very easy to get onboarded. We have out-of-the-box templates for everything you saw today, so it's very easy to get up and running within a 10 to 15 minutes. And then over time, as Mark mentioned, you can start to personalize and make it your own to more mimic closely your practice and workflows. We also mentioned the data privacy and control. So this is a little bit more about that. We have standard data retention. So out of the box, we'll retain everything, the underlying. If you upload a recording, that's one thing we didn't talk about. Most people use it without recordings, but if you do have some past recordings or you want to continue to record, you can also upload those. If you upload those, we will hold those, as well as the generated transcripts and all of the metadata about the meetings and the meeting results themselves. We do store those objects, if you will, for up to 2 years, but you can set custom data retention with our professional license, and you can define, keeping that by the hour, day, or month. So just an example there is some people might, as Mark mentioned earlier, keep the transcript for 30 days and then keep the meeting results for a longer period. We have other people that just keep everything for 1 week, and then that gives them time to process it and save it in CRM and then delete it from the platform. So totally up to you. As Mark said, you own it, you control it. It's really, you have it your way if you want. We do have a marketing agreement with Cambridge, and so we've been onboarding lots of Cambridge offices pretty rapidly. You get a 10% discount. So that's normally we discount at 10 seats, but you can get it with just 1 seat with a 10% discount. We also discount further at 25 and 50 seats. We do provide a free trial, so up to 30 days if you'd like to get on and try Zocks. Included in that free trial is an onboarding and optimization session. So happy to meet with you, make sure that you're set up, you're configured, and then partway through the trial, we can check in with you to make sure that, tips and tricks, best practices. We do have 2 levels of licenses. One's called advanced and one is called professional. The advanced is really geared for solo advisors or those that would just be analyzing conversations and then fully processing their own notes and follow-ups, versus the professional version gives access to paraplanners and other staff members. So if you want to just analyze conversations, but you have a team that might jump in and process that after the fact, then professional would be the most applicable to you. With professional, you get double the meetings per month. So we support 100 meetings per month or 1,200 annual, versus advanced, you have 50 or 600 annual. So that is our presentation. So we'll open it up to Q&A. Be happy if anybody would like to get set up on a 30-day free trial. Happy to get you connected with someone on our team and get that on the calendar. But other than that, we are available for questions if anybody else has any questions today.
I had two quick questions. On the virtual meetings, I know with the one you guys just demoed, that was an in-person meeting. For a virtual meeting, is it just we invite Zocks to the meeting and then we don't have to do anything once we're actually in the meeting? Or do we still have to kind of click that start meeting thing?
Nope, that's perfect. Yeah, Jack. So with Zoom, you can connect your Zoom and Zocks account, and then you can configure it to auto join when you're the host, or auto join for any Zoom meeting that you attend. For Teams and Google Meets, there's an email address that you would just add to your calendar event,
Okay,
and then Zocks would show up automatically.
got it.
So there's nothing you need to do. If you use the waiting room concept, so like a lot of people with Zoom, for instance, use a waiting room. So Zocks would just show up in the waiting room as a participant, just like your clients would. So you would allow Zocks into the conversation. As soon as Zocks is attached to a virtual meeting, it'll start running automatically in the background. So there's nothing you need to do. As soon as you end the meeting or hit leave that meeting, Zocks gets notified that it's done, and then there's some post-processing. You saw Mark kind of had some filler in there for a couple minutes to let post-processing finishing. So the same thing you would do with the Zoom call.
Gotcha. And second question I had was, because I know you guys mentioned tax professionals use this too. We use a software TaxDome on the tax side of our practice. I don't know if you
Okay.
guys integrate with that, but if our CRM doesn't currently integrate with Zocks, is there can you just use Zocks as a standalone where you're getting all those notes and then it takes prep notes from previous Zocks meetings, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if you're not connected to a CRM system, it is designed to be used independent, and we have lots of people that use it independent. Then what it would do for pre-meeting prep is just pull from any past conversations that Zocks has analyzed and you've kept stored on the platform. So if you're deleting them off the platform, then obviously there's not going to be a whole lot for us to pull from. But if you're leaving them on the platform, then we can go and analyze across those past meetings for pre-meeting prep. Here, if you were trying to store things, we have on each of these panels, we have a copy to clipboard function. It's very easy to hit, and then you would just paste that into your target destination. So if that's in a CRM system, some people save things in OneNote or SharePoint. So you have a lot of flexibility there. And then we also have at the top toolbar here an export all. So you can just quickly copy everything to clipboard that you see in the panels below, and that also can be pasted in a target destination.
Got it. Cool. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. One other thing that we didn't show here, and Mark, maybe you can show edit capability. So you have the ability to click in and hit edit. So all of this is available. It's yours to add comments to. If you want to delete something, you can easily do that. It's all rich text formatting with indentation and all those things. So you can certainly, this is meant for you to be able to review it. That's an important aspect of the design, is that we don't automatically just take the results and push it into CRM. We would recommend that you obviously come in here and make any appropriate edits, add any comments, and then save it into your CRM system. While we're here, Mark, if you want to show, just like you can also hover and comment on things. So this is something that we see if you're working as a team. Sometimes the lead advisor might come in and highlight something here and then just put a comment. So this comment would be for internal staff that might be coming in and either starting to prepare the financial plan or some sort of follow-up document, tax document, things of that nature. So lots of collaboration capabilities here. And then another thing that we will get asked a lot is, what about the transcript? Can I review the transcript? So one of the things we do that's what we find from working with advisors is, if you have an hour-long conversation, you're probably not looking to review a 10-page transcript. So one of the key features that we have here, if there's anything that you see that you're not recalling or you want some more detail, you can click on this explain function. And what this is going to do is Zocks is going to actually go backwards through the transcript. None of these things are quotes, so this is all summary. So we're not quoting you, we're never quoting the client. We're summarizing the key aspects of the conversation. So what Zocks is doing is going back through the transcript, and you can see here that, you know, we wrote that sentence in purple at the top, and then there's an explanation of where that came up in the conversation, and then we're pulling out very specific snippets of the conversation below. So this is, you know, word for word, quote for quote. So how did we come up with that statement that we wrote? So this just gives you the ability to go back and look in detail. It also just helps provide confidence that the system is capturing the details correct. So that's a nice feature that you can peruse if you want to dig into the depth of the transcript. Any other questions?
So I have, I use Redtail and I have the Redtail hosted email with the Zimbra connector. So is there any issues with any of that? Does it work fine or?
For sending an email, Kathy? Do you
Yep.
do you use the Redtail client for sending emails, or is it just archiving there?
It's just archiving. So, I mean, I use Outlook.
You use Outlook. So
Wait.
yeah, so our functionality for email, we're not actually sending emails, we're just generating an email. And Mark, if you want to show the mail to link. So the way this works is depending on how your laptop or desktop is set up, whatever your default mail client is, it sounds like in this case it would be Outlook. So you can see here that Mark clicked on the send. All that did was open up his mail client, and it pulled in the email addresses for the client and then that draft email. And then Kathy, this is where you would, you know, add a subject and make any further tweaks or changes to your email. And then when you hit send, then it would go and be archived in Redtail as all of your other emails are.
Okay, thank you.
And then with that as well, Kathy, we'll also start to use that email in future, like for pre-meeting preparation and any questions you ask the system in the future as well. So it works quite well, and it's quite simple. Like any email you send will essentially start taking that context.
Okay.
Right. Great.
Sebastian, did we miss anything else that you wanted us to cover?
No, I think you hit everything. You did a good demo, the integrations, the fact that you don't report. I wanted to stress that as well, because I know that's a big selling point as well. So I think you guys hit everything. We appreciate your time, and it was a great presentation.
Fantastic.
Really.
Sebastian and Tracy, I'll send you all I'll just send a follow-up email with our contacts, and then I'll also provide a URL if anybody wants to set up a demo as part of the follow-up, and I'll also send a copy of all the slides as a PDF. So if you want to distribute that, Sebastian, and yeah, we're ready and available, and happy to do more demos, and happy to get anybody set up on a 30-day free trial. It's our pleasure to work with you directly.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.